Hello and welcome to These Two Billionaires, the only podcast where two very, very attractive people meet every Thursday to rank everything that both does and doesn't exist in a single itemized list from best to worst, from Bees to Billionaires. I'm Emily today,
I'm
and
Joshua
this
Joel.
is...
I'm also Joshua Joel today and also every other day, which is
I'm
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
Cool. So, how are you? How's it going?
Today's a good day. How are you, my friend?
I'm alright. I've just been to Aldi to buy some alcohol, which was fun. I was doing more of a general shop, but I also bought some alcohol.
Very well.
I think I just bought like the cheapest thing I could find that wasn't like 4 cans for £1, because that's, they're probably just like blood is the active ingredient in that cider, I'm pretty sure. I bought some Austin's Summer Punch.
That sounds refreshing.
It's just alcohol. A train's going past and my window's open, so that'll settle nicely. Just like let that big boy train right into your ear hole, right into. Let's snuggle up against your eardrum.
Yeah.
Man, Thomas is a. Yeah. If you're cold, they're cold. Let Thomas cuddle up with you over these cold winter months. So I got to I went through the queue and I got to the front, and the woman, she asked for my ID. I gave her my ID. She looked at it. She looked at me. She pulled out a form. She started writing on it. I couldn't read what the form said, and she turned at me. She was like, "Can you take your mask off for me real quick?" And I said, "Okay, sure." And so I flashed her my beautiful face, and she like continues writing for a second. I looked down. I realised she's writing on a refusal to serve alcohol form, which I didn't even know those were like a thing. But then she just kind of gives up. I don't know if like my hair's very different, so like with a mask up, maybe I look different. So I don't know if she continued after seeing my face for like a few seconds, and then after like a few seconds for the cogs to run in her brain, she changed her mind, or if she was like umming and ahhing about it and then she decided it wasn't worth it, or if she literally just got bored and was like, this isn't worth the hassle.
Whichever, I didn't think anyone cared about their job that much.
Believe for a tiny little second, she believed that I was not a big boy deserving of some big boy drinks.
Yeah, I thought they would just say no and be like, "No, this isn't you, bye."
Yeah, well, of course it was me. I went through all that effort to learn how to drive just so I could get alcohol, and I'm not even. And even still, the cashier's like flipping a coin on whether she's going to serve me or not. It feels like. Yeah. Have you been up to much?
I have not. I've just come back to uni, so I've been doing some work. Well, I say that. I have been not doing work while sat at my desk. But, yeah.
What does that mean? You've not been doing well. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So I had to soak my brain in the words for a few seconds before they seeped in.
I feel every day. But no, I mean, other than that, I've been good. I've been chilling. I have not been refused alcohol, so that's something.
That's good. There are currently 53 things on the list. It's cool. It starts up with us and crabs and the greatest movies ever made, and it goes through our Monster Prom waifus, or the cartoon characters we want to bang. A whole bunch of movies, and then like the corpses at the bottom. And hangovers and human beings. I never know how much to summarize. I feel like it's not even worth it at this point. Like, people get the premise. I don't know. But yeah, I've gotten, I've returned to like my cringy youth over the last few days. And I've started low-key getting into Homestuck again. It was recently, it was last week actually. The day we recorded last week was the 13th of April, which on American day is 4/13, which is also
It's Pi Day, isn't it?
4/13 is it's a holy
No, that's
number. It's the day that Homestuck started back in 2009, and I've kind of been, me and our good buddy Luke were chatting about it and kind of reminiscing, and we've been doing that a lot recently. And man, I really love this thing. Looking back, like, it kind of sucks looking back at it. It's got a lot of issues, but man, is it's wonderful. Actually, we mused the idea of starting like a D&D campaign based on Homestuck, but that would, there's so much kind of just fate and time loops and stuff involved in, you'd really have to have people who are on board with like not messing up the timeline, and also you'd have to do so much research just to make sure you know everything. I've currently got the Wikipedia page for ectobiology up, not the Wikipedia page, the MS Paint Adventures wiki up. Homestuck, by the way, sorry, I feel like I should explain it more. It was a webcomic written between the years 2009 and was it? Oh wow, it was 2016 it ended. That's crazy. It's the 8th longest piece of literature at all time. It had 800,000 words. That's only including the words, of course. That doesn't include, obviously, the images, the GIFs. They have like 15 albums of like a soundtrack and several interactive games, like as part of the comic, just flash games. So that's not counting like the games that have come up since Homestuck ended, because those are all side events and stuff. It does also have 2 epilogues which are fully written, so no images or whatnot, which take place in 2 separate timelines. Together they add up to 150,000 words, so the epilogue is like near a quarter of the length of the actual work. And it's also, I think they've started a sequel, but I've not heard amazing things about it. I haven't read it myself. So yeah, there you go. That's Homestuck. It involves I can't even begin to answer that question I just asked myself of what it involves. It involves a cool new video game coming out and people realizing, and one of the events, it changes their action environment, and one of the results of that is an asteroid landing and destroying your house. The release of the game basically triggers a meteoric apocalypse upon the Earth. And basically, if you survive that, you're swept up in a whole brilliant quest to play a giant game of chess and help the Prospitians, aka the white pieces, beat the Dursites, which are the black pieces, and trigger the creation of a new universe, which you can become the god over. Also, they end up meeting the people who played the previous round of this game, who ended up creating their universe. It turns out they did a really awful job. They gave the new universe, which happens to be a frog, by the way, cancer, which leads to various repercussions. There you go.
Makes a ton of sense to me, at least.
I'm currently yes, I mean, like up on my screen right now is the process of exobiology, which involves using an aperifier to attempt to teleport someone from the past into the present. However, that would cause a paradox. So instead of doing that, it gives you a green slime paradox ghost imprint, which then collapses. You can then use their DNA to create a baby of said person. The characters inadvertently create all their ancestors, and then they accidentally send the babies back in time to grow up into their ancestors, hence making them paradox clones. They are clones of themselves. And the remaining genetic material they reorganize into themselves as babies, making themselves also not quite paradox clones because they are made just of other people's genetic material, but then they're also sent back on meteors to land on Earth in the past. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Man, yeah. So anything. One of the rules of the universe is when attempting to clone something, you'll typically get mutations, and a mutant clone is just a mutated clone. But perfect clones can only ever be the original being. So items can only be cloned. Like if you successfully clone an item or a person, it is an eventuality. It's like a fact that the new thing you have created will end up becoming the original item.
But then what happens to the original item? Like it would disappear and be replaced by the new one?
No, it's just vibing. So, in the example of ectobiology, John Egbert creates himself as a baby. Like he creates a clone of himself and inadvertently sends the clone back in time because he's created himself.
Right.
And like there's a moment where two characters are talking. They both have versions of what's called a juju, which is an item that exists. It's a constant across all of paradox space, which just refers to paradox space. Just means like everything. So it means all universes, all time, and all timelines. And
they have this one thing which stays the same.
Yeah. So someone is tries to convince someone else to destroy their version of it's a ventriloquist puppet called Little Cow, and he refuses to. And the characters don't realize that one of them is just on the same planet as the other, like 50 years in the future, but they're talking on like Discord and not realizing that they existed different like decades apart. And so it's actually the same puppet that just kind of survives the whole apocalypse.
Okay, I think.
So that's good.
Sure, it probably makes more sense in more context.
It really doesn't.
Oh, great.
That's pretty much the end of it. Yeah, man. I don't really know if there's anything else I have to say without kind of.
Oh wait, no. I was going to ask. So this webcomic is obviously more adult, then, isn't it? So it's not for like kids and stuff.
No, I mean the character started off at 13, but there's a lot of swearing and rudeness. To be fair, there is almost hentai in it.
Okay.
Said guy who tells his name's Caliborn. He tells the other guy to destroy his version of Little Cow, not realizing that it is in fact his version of Little Cow in the past. He becomes, as a passive observer to the rest of Homestuck, he basically becomes a fan of it and gets very invested in the characters and their relationships, and so he draws like lewd, very crappy artwork of it. There's a brilliant scene where you're cutting between literally like most of the remaining characters in the plot dying, and one of the other characters teleporting into Caliborn's house, seeing all like the hentai of him and his friends, and proceeding to just like attempt to like beat up Caliborn. So you're cutting between like really just brutal murder and two people fighting over drawings of a troll's butt. Yeah.
Okay, well, I think they're about equal.
Yeah. same emotional stakes for me
Yeah,
at least.
exactly.
Um,
I'd agree. From the little that I do know.
Man, yeah, so I can send you a chart of... this isn't going to work in the audio format, but I can send you a chart of how everyone's related due to the fact that there is so much time travel involved in everything.
I'm expecting this to just be like a scribble.
It pretty much is. In the top right-hand corner, it denotes that we are only talking about specifically the B1 universe, pre-scratch.
So there's more than just this.
Yes. Yeah, there's 3 other major universes involved in the plot. Spoilers. Also, like, one of the main villains is Betty Crocker, the cake
Yeah, I was
mix
going to say,
company,
that's
or the woman who started
interesting.
the cake mix company.
Is there any reason why, or is that completely different to the
Like,
actual
there's
company?
probably... I think the reason why pretty much starts with the fact that, like, in the very opening act, which is just the character John running around his house doing really benign, useless crap, his dad bakes way too much, and he really hates... He's, like, growing, like, angry at the existence of cake, and he refers to Betty Crocker as, like, a horrible sea witch, like, she-witch. And Homestuck just likes pulling things from the past and deciding... this is a major plot element now. Much like their internet browsers are gods of the planets that they occupy when they enter the game after the meteoric apocalypse. They all have unique internet browsers, and it's the icons from them are all giant snakes, and then they have to kill the giant snakes.
Okay, so basically if something comes up, it's going to be brought back later.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, did you want to rank Homestuck?
I don't think you can. I don't think it's appropriate. I want this thing to get as far away from me as possible.
It seems quite niche. I mean, at least for people who have seen the whole thing.
Yeah, it
seems
used to be
massive.
such... maybe it was only specific corners of the internet, but it used to be such a juggernaut. You couldn't go anywhere out seeing it. It was very widely hated because you had a lot of young teenage fans being jackasses about it. It led to, in the early, 2010s, lots of conventions had to ban body paint because you had lots of young fans who were trying body paint for the first time, who were doing cosplay for the first time, and there were the people who made the universe that Homestuck is primarily set in are called trolls, and they've got horns and grey skin, and that's the defining characteristic. So a lot of people
I see where this is
dyeing
going.
themselves grey, and like a lot of people who didn't know that you have to use. I think you've got to use a sealer after you put body paint on, so it doesn't rub off, stuff like that. But you'd have convention centres and hotel rooms just covered in grey paint. There's a famous story of someone leaving their Sharpies to soak in the bath in an attempt to make a basic dye.
No. Like how you dye eggs for Easter.
And I think they're also drinking a lot of alcohol. I think the alcohol ended up in the bath as well. And a couple hours later, they were I think the people who they were attending this hotel to get to a convention with got very concerned and barged in, and they were unconscious and had ink poisoning. Oh no! They got kicked out by the hotel. Which feels a bit harsh, because the person had to go to hospital, and if you... Yeah, this clearly wasn't their home city. They've got to go to hospital. You can't also kick them out of where they're staying. But at the same
I
time,
can stay at the hospital now.
they did do a... Yeah, but what about the rest of their buddies? But no,
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
fair, they did, almost kill themselves in a bathtub. I
Yeah.
slightly get it. Though, who... Yeah. Man.
I was gonna say, I remember I've never really heard of Homestuck, but I'd always seen these little characters, the horns and the grey skin, and they were people's like profile pictures. And I remember like whenever I was having a conversation with them online, it would be the most.
They all
It would be the
spoke
most
in like
painful conversation
all
I had
caps,
most of the
and they
time.
were like, "I'm going to replace every E with a 3, every A with a
Yeah.
4, every I with a 1." Yeah.
And there was underscores and dots like everywhere, and I didn't understand because of course I've never seen Homestuck or listened to it or watched it, read it, any of them.
Any of them, yeah.
But
Just see, and they would have all had. They would have. Please tell me they had names along the lines of, like Apocalypse Arisen, Twin Armageddons, Carcinogeneticist.
I thought it was part of a band thing or something because it seemed
Grip.
very edgy, like emo stuff.
Gallows Calibrator.
Yeah, or very
Terminally capricious. Yeah. It was a time to be alive. They eventually kickstarted. It was the most successful Kickstarter at the time. They announced that they were going to make a game. They asked for I think 700 grand, which is honestly like respectable that they went that high because it means
for a game. Yeah, that's enough
but
to make.
The thing is, games cost like a lot of money to make, and it's kind of cool that they like. It's better to go higher than what you need than to go lower because you don't want to run out of money halfway through development and just not have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
So I kind of respect them for that. And they ended up, I think they got like $2.5 million.
Oh wow.
Which comes out to like 30p in pounds.
Okay.
but and then and that kind of killed Homestuck. The webcomic ended up it went on to have several pauses, some of which went on for like a couple years. You got they're in a very slow development with this games company, but it basically seemed like the games company blames the creator of Homestuck. The creator of Homestuck blames the company. It seems maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle, but all the money basically disappeared with there not being a game. So Homestuck, they just walked away having lost like all of their money.
The whole
or at
like
least
almost
like most
2
of
million.
$1 million. I think they lost like most of $1 million. So not quite all of it. But they were like, okay, we're going to start our own game development team. So they had What Pumpkin, which was a company started by the writer of Homestuck, basically as a merch store and like a record label for the many albums that composed the soundtrack, most of which went unused. So that happened, and so they basically just like taught themselves how to make games, and they got one of the main composers for Homestuck, a lad named Toby Fox, started learning how to make games as well.
That name sounds familiar.
And he made, whilst learning, he made a little side project called Undertale. You might have heard of it.
Similar fan.
It's like a soul for a soul. We lost Homestuck and got something equally as awful if you judge it purely by analysing its fans.
Yeah.
But
the amount of sans people.
Sans people.
Yeah, I think that way to describe them.
Comic Sans, his theme, Megalovania, is... Toby Fox actually wrote that like a decade or two before Undertale. So it was in an original like fan game, like a ROM hack of Mother, or what was the original Japanese name of that series? Earthbound. Yeah, he had a Halloween ROM of Earthbound that had Megalovania in it. It's also in Homestuck, in a particular flash animation that comprised when we like flash back to see basically what went wrong with the Trolls timeline, or universe more rather. There's an animation called Make Her Pay, and it makes me very sad, but you get to see a robot kick the shit out of Vriska, who did nothing wrong. which I can't say with a straight face. But that was quite gratifying. Vriska's my favourite character, but she's an awful person. And
Oh,
so
is
that
this
was
like
quite
a
fun.
troubled villain kind of thing?
Yeah, she was raised by a giant spider. But she
That's another song.
does give like two people disabilities, and it's not very cash money.
That's not funky fresh.
No, she eventually has like a very nice character arc, very slow, that happens in the afterlife. But then due to a shift in the timelines, in the prime timeline that we view the Homestuck narrative coming in, she comes back to life, and then you see original Vriska like bullying the nice, cool, cash money afterlife Vriska, and like, oh, it hurt. It was like, yeah, you saw this character development, and this character coming like vaguely understandable, and then you got like the original version just coming out of nowhere, slapping her, calling her a bitch, and like stealing a juju from her, one of the universal objects I talked about earlier.
The constant thingies.
Yeah, I've just looked at the Audacity file and realised how long I've been talking about Homestuck for.
It's fine. I feel like we have to rank it, though.
I'm currently 4 pages into writing a document for... The title is D&D Stuck. So it's for notes and like mechanics and stuff for a possible Homestuck campaign set in a new universe, but kind of based off what happens at the very end of Homestuck, which I found fine with spoiling everything else up until this point, because it's so vague and hard to understand that I feel like there's no repercussions. Like, I just told you that Vriska dies, and then like, okay, maybe saying that explicitly does make it a spoiler, but before what I said all about Vriska, I feel like was fine.
I mean, it's been out for long enough where spoilers shouldn't really matter, right?
I guess so, and yeah, no one's crazy enough to be reading Homestuck in 2021. But yeah, it's good. I've like written out the stats for chess people, and that's all. I can't really talk about it because again, it's all basically based off like thousands of years after the end of Act 7. So I can't actually like describe any of it. Oh, another train's going past. I wonder if you'll enjoy that. Okay, I can shut up. We could put Homestuck on the list. I would be inclined. Thing is, I love it so dearly, but it's also so stupid. I don't know how to feel like it was like my main thing for many years. I was one of those cringy fans who wanted to go to conventions wearing awful grey body paint. I'm gonna shut my window. So I can't really rank it in a, what's the word, like a neutral stance.
Right. Well, yeah, because obviously you have a lot of value behind it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd happily put it directly above Us, but I'd also happily put it at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, I don't know, as someone who hasn't ever read it or anything, but I don't know, because the only thing I've got off it is the fan base.
That is a consequence. I think you could judge it off the consequences of its existence.
Yeah, exactly.
I would happily snuggle it as like a vague approximation. Oh, it could. Part of me does want to say it could go near the our two best movies, which are slots 7 and 8, which are Swiss Army Man and Akira.
We want to have it that high up then. I mean, it's impressive how much they've done.
It could also go between a little bit lower, like maybe we don't want to say it's as good as my best friend Polygeist from Monster Prom.
I don't want to say it's better than Pokemon Diamond and Pearl.
Ooh, that's quite low down. Number
Yeah.
38 out of 53.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. If that's the limit, then that's the limit. The thing directly below it is a single B, and as much as I love that B that we call Jeffrey, I would say that's better than him.
Okay, well, we can work with that. Let's put him...
Okay, 39
Yeah.
out of 53. Homestuck has been ranked. Yeah. Category. Oh, we're on episode 8. That's weird. That's a weird thing to type into the list. Category Homestuck. It gets its own category. Blammo.
Perfect. Well, okay, so now that we've dealt with that,
Yeah. Fantastic. So we did get a request for the first time in forever. Sam, good best boy Sam from 2 episodes ago. Maybe it was episode 5 actually.
it was episode 5,
That's
yep.
several weeks ago. He's given me several holy characters upon my PC screen, and he's told me to review this divine item, beans on toast. What are your thoughts on beans on
I have
toast?
incredibly mixed feelings, to be honest.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
We're talking about Heinz beans, aren't we? Heinz,
Yeah,
like,
we're talking about
canned beans.
baked beans. Canned baked
beans.
beans, I think, is
Yeah.
the... Obviously, you could read it other ways if you really wanted to say, but I think we are going specifically for canned baked beans on toast.
Yeah, well, disgusting.
Hmm.
I have nothing positive to say about baked beans, but toast. I love
Sometimes
toast.
I can't... Again, I have mixed. I kind of like... When you've got like the slightly... Like a few bit of... Sometimes when the toast is actually like slightly wet with the bean juice, that is actually quite nice. But... I'm not a massive fan of baked beans. Yeah, I'm not... I don't think it's that great.
I
Eggs
think
on
there's
toast is better. That's for
just
damn
no,
sure.
even plain toast with a bit of butter, beautiful, amazing. But just plain toast still, that is incredible. And you've ruined it by putting baked beans on it because they're just soggy and they're not.
So
nice
not
colour.
only is it going to rank low because of the taste, but it's going to get dropped even further because of the thought of what you did to that beautiful, beautiful bread boy.
Exactly. What's the word? You've corrupted it. You've corrupted that poor toast.
Is it better or worse than a cream egg?
I'm not a fan of cream and eggs, so personally,
No.
like
46 out of
but-
54.
Alright, let me whip up the list. I was on Audacity, so you know what, I'm willing to say that beans on toast is probably worse than a billionaire bean.
Wow. You're saying that beans on toast are worse than the existence of humanity?
Yeah, I am.
That's quite severe.
I'm just passionate about beans on toast. I hate it.
So if given a choice, 2 buttons, one would entirely retroactively destroy beans on toast. All toast that has ever been sacrilege with beans no longer has happened. Wiped out from the timeline. Not just the timeline, all of Paradox space. An anti-juju, if you will. And you know, all beautiful buttered toast would get a holy aura of anti-bean to it. And the other one gets rid of humanity, and you would press the bean button.
I would sacrifice all of humanity to make sure beans
Even
never
if-
touch toast ever again.
No, you're not sacrificing all of humanity. That's the thing. You're letting us continue our wicked ways, because humans are at the bottom of the list as well. So like, we're in the realm of not preserving but destroying stuff in order to make our choices. I feel. So you'd
Very
let
well.
humanities continue. You would let, you know, all those polar bears who are currently drowning because their icicles of icebergs, sorry, have melted away. All those dear birds who sing a song looking for a mate, but no one ever responds.
Oh, okay, I
Are
guess.
you saying? I'm not trying to press you. I'm just making sure we're aware of the consequences. That in the blessed timeline where we snap our fingers and the human baked bean choice we make now comes true, I'm just asking if you're sure. Humans or baked beans?
I
Which is
may be a bit
worse?
blinded by my absolute distaste of baked beans. So in that case, baked beans, I guess, can go higher.
Okay, so we currently got so we kind of it's you kind of implied by jumping all the way to humans that beans on toast were worse than cream eggs. So we've got cream eggs. They're descending down the list. The butt of a bee, the brain of a bee / front half, and hangovers. So compared to those four things, the existence of beans on toast.
I would rather have a hangover than beans on toast.
You would wow. Okay,
Yep.
that is harsh. Beans on
It
toast.
is.
Number 50 out of 54. You heard it here first.
No, beans on
Please-
toast could cure me of my hangover and I still wouldn't eat it.
Someone is currently sobbing whilst listening to this podcast. You put it into the like I've given like a general like guide of items down the right. You know, 7 gorgeous categories to our list, and you've put it in the corpse parts and humans section.
Yeah, that's valid.
The tier, I guess you'd call it. We could actually make like vague tiers, because obviously the number of things isn't the most helpful, I think, for the gorgeous audience. But maybe that's a conversation for off the air, if you would.
Perhaps, yes.
Yeah.
The managerial aspects. We'll talk to the HR department about that.
Yeah. Okay. How do you feel now?
I'm calming
dear,
down.
Dear.
I'm calming down. But
We can
it's
move
low
on
enough
to-
where I won't feel threatened by its presence.
Move on to our regular returning segment. Movie reviews. Reviews of movies that I don't remember because I was drunk whilst watching them. Yay. We got Barnyard, which was a movie. Wow. It's all I can say after seeing that. I can barely remember it. Let me just read you some of the quotes from the Wikipedia. So it grossed $116.5 million worldwide, with a $51 million production budget. It was made by Paramount and Nickelodeon.
Oh no.
So, pretty good film. I mean, if it made a 66.5 million, which I don't know. It's more than a 100% return, right? So that can't be bad. Question mark. It received. It's a 2006 film. It received mixed to negative reviews from critics who described it. Sorry, I can't read. I'm always
The
out of it
crickets
when
are
I
back.
record these. Yes, the Mr. Cricket critic. Me slaying him with my sword was only the second to worst thing to happen in his life. The first was watching this movie. He described it as unimaginative and unfunny, and particularly targeted its inaccurate depiction of bulls with udders. The entire movie it's about several barnyard animals, big focus on male cows. They all have udders, and it's very distracting. Which was there's like this uncanny it's good animation, honestly. The animation isn't bad until you get are they hyenas? General bad guy animals. Like coyotes, sorry, they're coyotes. But So it's like if you looked at the silhouette of like a fat cartoon cow, or maybe even a pregnant one. You've got like a very specific gain in weight in one specific part of the body. Now move it like half a meter lower to where you expect it to be. Like their body, the main portion of their body like hangs like at their knees. It's because they've got all this extra girth and like mass around these udders, which hang down quite far and quite awkwardly. But and so you've got like an uncanny valley every single time you see any animation. Like their gait, the way they walk is just awkward and hard to watch. It's highly bizarre.
From all the screenshots I'm seeing, it doesn't look like a good film.
So it follows pretty much the Pixar formula. I described this before we started recording. I said, imagine a Pixar film made with a worse screenplay of someone who was, they got the Pixar staff drunk and then they made this film. It's not, again, the animation isn't all bad. Oh, there's one character actually who's, they do racial stereotypes. I've just remembered that. It's not great.
With cows.
Yeah. I mean, it's literally, so you've got, I'll explain the plot and then I'll go on to my my conversation. Are we okay with me spoiling the entirety of Barnyard?
Absolutely.
And I hope the audience is as well. If you're not, then skip forward in time. Skip to...
Just pause, go watch it and come back.
I'll edit in me screaming the time you should skip to there. I actually probably won't. I shouldn't set myself up to actually have to do more things, because I'm not going to want to. So the plot... I'm not familiar with the plot, because, again, I was quite drunk. So I'm just looking at the Wikipedia. So Otis is a carefree cow. He lives on a farm. There's a farmer. He's very small and fat. In the middle of the night, the barnyard gets reorganized into basically a club. They all head down to the barnyard to get their milk on. As in they drink milk, not to get milked. Though maybe that's like milk. A sex thing. They drink milk, which is a little... And like all of the animals drink the milk, which, given that the only female cows we see in the film are introduced as newcomers who arrived like that day, it's a little odd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the opening scene, always get like a nice, exciting scene to set up a film. You want to set up the character as a bit of an underdog, so you typically want to have him being down on his luck. And, yeah, so we open with, he's heading out. He gets like a bit of a chat with his stern father who's not very approving, and he's like, remember your shift tonight, Otis, and he's like, I will. And so his mouse, Freddy the ferret, who looks like a baby kangaroo, and I had to Google his species after watching the film, Peck the rooster, they all go and I think they tie a block of ice, a surfboard to a block of ice and then ride it down a mountain. And they do some really, really awful meta humor in it, but like, I don't know, I like meta humor. Otis, you've got a close up in the character's face, so you can't see where they're going, and he just says, "Please, nobody shout tree," and then of course they all go, "Tree!" and then they crash into a tree, and it's like, haha,
okay,
they only crashed into a tree
fine.
because the characters went, look, there's a tree. They did a whole reversal of the joke. I mean, it wasn't very good. They also then immediately reused it with a rock. And then Otis shouts out for something, and then Pip the mouse goes, "Oh, I get it. We're not allowed about shout about trees or rocks, but you can shout about chickens or blah, 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 blah." But yeah, you introduced to Ben as Otis's father, who's like the stern cow who he has to watch over the like he's seen a lot of troubles in his life. He has to watch over the entire like barn, and at night he stays up and he watches kind of the perimeter. He's waiting for coyotes to attack. There is a big coyote attack, and he plays like a really emotional. It's like who's the guy who wrote Hurt? It sounds like it's a song by him. It's that kind of song. And then he kills some coyotes, but then they kill him back, literally. And then Otis is sad, and it's a very emotional whole thing. And then obviously Otis becomes the leader, and then everything goes wrong, and the other animals don't respect him because they all see him as like a goofball, and then he decides this makes him a bad leader, which I guess is somewhat true, but so he goes to leave as if that's going to solve the problems. Like the people he puts in charge when he leaves are some of the people who are messing about and led to everything going wrong after he became leader, which is a bit odd. But then coyotes come and they steal like literally all of the chickens, and they're like, oh no. And so we get a really, really bland fight scene in the middle of like a dump. It's like such an obvious like set piece. You've got like a clearing, and then there's just walls of like broken down cars on every single side. It feels like such a closed space for being outside. It's literally that they drew the walls to this small amphitheater that we're watching the film in. But yeah, at the beginning of the film, Otis also meets the two female cows who kind of join the. Sorry, earlier I said that, like, where does the milk come from if we only just met the two female cows? I forgot. Of all the male cows have udders, therefore it's fine. They're all drinking Otis's warm milk.
At the same time, I mean, would male cows still lactate the way men have nipples, but they do not produce milk?
No, I don't think so. Who knows? I don't think so.
I'll think too deeply into it, yeah.
But yeah, so he meets Daisy, who's a pregnant cow, but like their farm got flooded and like everyone else died, and it was emotional. And she has her friend Bessie, who is a sassy. She's like a brown cow. The voice actor is, as opposed to the rest of the main cast, is clearly of a darker a greater melatonin content. Melatonin.
The
That's
thing that
the
makes
phrase.
you sleep.
Yep. And she's the sassy black friend, and like every single thing she says is like, you know, a very over the top, very stupid. Daisy, Otis Otis, she don't want to hang with you. The other character is a donkey who it fills the another prominent like black stereotype. He's like the old wise character who's always like, he doesn't rock in an armchair, but you could imagine every single line he delivers. He could be, you know,
oh, he's very deep and
grandpa
wise.
in the armchair, and he's given all the wise advice, meaningful about life. And those like the only two. I mean, they might not be. I might be stupid, but I do believe that those are like the only two black voice actors in it. I don't know. It just kind of, it felt a little off. Also,
yeah, I mean, if they made the cows a different colour, that's just weird. They did not need to do that.
He pointed out towards the end of the film, but every single scene that the donkey's in, he's leaning against a wall, and like, we kind of realise that, they probably only have like they probably only animated one posture for him. So you see him like in the fight scene, they added a chain link fence, which you don't see for like the rest of the fight. But there's a chain link fence that's randomly there, and he's leaning against it. It just shows up at the end when they want to go introduce the character just to go talk to him at the end of the fight. Because he gathered everyone together to come do the fight. He does more than offer sage advice, but it's my point stands. He does also kick a bunch of people in the head repeatedly, but you never see him kicking them in the face. You get a shot of the face as a hoof plows into their temple. But yeah. However, you get a nice moment when Otis is mourning his father. He talks about how how Ben he'd be traveling across America, I guess, and then he met baby Otis, who was orphaned, and he looked up at the stars and he realized this is where he belonged. And of course, at the end of the film, Otis has the same epiphany with Daisy, whose husband drowned, I guess. Her calf after she delivers him in, of course, the stables, meaning this film does certifiably have Christ imagery, which makes it a good movie. Top of the list. But yeah, I mean, the film exactly gets very emotional at times, and they pull off the mourning and the death of a father figure very well. You see his death coming from a bloody mile away. Otis, he says, "Oh, I want to go to the barnyard. Can you cover my shift for me?" And Ben's like, "I can, but you gotta grow up one day, son." And and the coyotes are attacking, and you could feel it in your bones, just in the opening scene of the movie. You're just like, that cow's gonna die.
Yeah, it's very cliche.
Yeah. It spawned a television series called Back at the Barnyard, which ran for 2 seasons between 2007 and 2011. Cool. That's a fact for you.
They also cow from the cheese.
They also get drunk and steal a car and go for a joyride. They saw a kid cow tipping, so they went into his room and shoved him off the bed and said, "That's called boy tipping," and then ran out. So yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a great film.
That's Barnyard, baby. God bless. I don't know where. Okay, so we do have a particular section called Bad Movies and Cream Eggs, which is following a single B. So we've kind of been around this region as well. We've just put Homestuck slightly above it. We've just put Bean on Toast below it. I think so. This is where we've got not bad movies, just not great movies. Honestly, I shouldn't call them bad movies, because none of these are actually bad films. We've got The Room, Night of the Museum, and Lego Star Wars Holiday Special here. I think clearly it's worse than all of those. I think it has to be said. Maybe, I don't know. I just spent 10-15 minutes calling the film racist, so I feel like I now can't be. They did pull off the emotion pretty well. What are your thoughts?
I, again, obviously haven't seen it. I know there's a meme from this, isn't there?
Yes, perhaps. Have you ever seen it? It's a zoom in of Otis stood on all fours, and it's impact font. It says perhaps.
That's it, yeah.
There's also a shovelware video game where your primary attack is shooting milk out of your man-cow udders. which is cool.
For that, it's funny, but I don't know. Yeah. It seems to not be that good of a film. It's a bit lazy, perhaps.
It's not that great. How do you think it compares to Cream Eggs, for someone who hasn't seen Cream Eggs? Oh, sorry, someone who hasn't seen the film. Sorry, you've probably seen Cream Eggs, though I don't know what kind of backwards life you live.
I had a cream egg.
Only tangentially British. I don't know what kind of wilderness you came from.
I'm not British at all, actually.
Something imperialism. Didn't you get citizenship?
No, I got a settler status. Oh no, I did get my citizenship. Ooh. Yeah. Does that mean I'm British?
Technically, sort of. You're a British citizen. Okay, you are whatever you want to call yourself, I guess, at the end of the day.
I don't really feel like anything. I just exist.
Yeah.
I'll take that. But No, I think I would get more enjoyment, maybe not enjoyment, but entertainment out of watching that film than I would a cream egg. Because a cream egg is finished in a few seconds, and it's not an
I
enjoyable few
honestly
seconds.
really enjoy the few seconds of eating a cream egg. I can't believe how much they fill you up. Like, I can't fathom. Like, you could survive for days off, like, 1.5 cream eggs.
Yeah?
Genuinely. Like, I would hate, I don't know, cream eggs are very low because you dislike them, and I was very much okay with that because, like, they're not as good as a movie, and also they're very, very sickening.
Yeah,
But, like,
yeah.
I'm kind of alright with a cream egg. I want to say, honestly, I'm looking at like a bee butt and a bee brain. Do we think this film is
Okay.
as good as a bee butt? I don't know. It's definitely a bit worse than a cream egg. I think we can agree on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Better than a hangover? Yes, no?
Better than a hangover.
Okay, so bee butts, bee brains. You're cool.
Let's put it right between the two.
Right between the two. Okay, better than the brain, worse than the butt, because the butt is where the bee feels love.
Exactly, it's
This
the
gives
shaky
it
bit.
48 out of 56. Barnyard. Blammo.
Perfectly done. Okay.
Fantastic. That's a birdie. Hole in, whatever.
Well, in
It
that
looks
case, I
like,
think this has been successful.
yeah, this really just flew by for me. I've never recorded an episode and have it feel this fast.
Yeah, it was a quick one.
Maybe that just came to me ranting about goddamn ectobiology, but
It's a passion. It's a good thing.
it's good stuff. Yeah. I'm considering going and buying. I found out that you can get, like I said, the epilogues, which I haven't read, they're split across like 2 parallel timelines. I think they affect each other, but only slightly. Like I think I read somewhere that like a bunch of ghosts get pulled into a black hole in one timeline and come out in the other timeline, which is kind of amusing.
That's fun.
Yeah. And you can get the book, and like on one side it's all black with the Homestuck logo in white, and on the other side it's all white with the Homestuck logo in black. And so if you read, depending on which direction you read the book, you're getting one of the different timelines, and I think that's neat. So
Yeah, I
I'm not
like
sure
books which have a theme like that. Well, maybe not a theme, but that kind of design aspect to it.
Yeah. I could, just read it online, because obviously the whole thing's online, because it was published online. But I also could. I'm considering buying that. But yeah, just thought I'd drop that nugget. One of the timelines is called Candy, and the other is called Meat. Fun fact.
Very opposite, very opposite.
Okay, superb. It's been very fun to chat to you today, Holly. That's not your name. Sorry. Oh my goodness. It's women,
that's
they
a
all look the
compliment,
same.
quite frankly.
It kind of is. She's got a big galaxy brain.
I wish I was Holly. Love
Oh.
you for listening to this.
I wish I was you being Holly.
Yeah, that is a good thing to be. I think it's quite a
That'd
good
be-
combination.
Yeah. Tasty. Cool. And thank you for joining us, Andy, and no one else. I think
Maybe
Sam
Holly?
listens to these now. Sam got invested by being in one episode, so there we go. We might have to, if he ever starts getting bored again, we'll have to rope him back in, that's how we're going to gain every individual viewer, is with guest appearances.
It's a bit like it felt.
Yeah. Ooh. I like that. We can be a cult. Oh yeah. Buzz, I've been Joshua Joel.
Buzz, I've been Emily.
And we'll see you later, honey. Wink.
Mwah.